Okay, in this video, we're going to be doing a little bit of polish again to our chat widget, and we're going to be creating our player state and setting up our chat to use the player's name in front of the message so we know who it was from. We're going to clear the chat once it becomes once we press enter and send the text, we're going to clear it. And then if I remember, or if the video is not going too long, we will start removing elements from the chat so it doesn't get too super filled. So we're going to start removing some of these chat messages from it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to modify our chat to work as our part of our HUD. Since it's always going to be there anyways, it just makes sense. So if we go to our temp HUD, which is responsible for displaying our hunger, thirst, stamina, and health, it's just named temp HUD to remind us to make it, not suck later. We're going to take our chat box, it's under user created, and drag it onto our canvas panel. Set its anchor to the lower left corner, reset its position. Let's try -20. All right, -30. There we go. Now it's sitting right there where it needs to be. Let's open up our third person character where we created this widget and add it to our viewport, and disconnect the node and play. Let's see. All right, it works. Spam it. Make sure it still scrolls, which it does, and no more error. All right, next, let's make our player state. So we're going to create a new C++ class. Player state's somewhere near the bottom. And I'm going to call this survival player state. I'm going to put it under a new section called player. Make sure everything's set up right where they're supposed to be going. All right, let's go ahead and fix our include for the header to public player survival player state. Let's create a constructor. And compile. Now, for now, that's honestly all we need to do for this. A lot of the functions, well, at least anyways for the player name, are already there, such as get and set player name. So we don't need to touch that. By default, when you do get player name, it's usually like your desktop name. Not your desktop name, I don't know if it'd be considered like your system name or what it would be called, but you'll see when we print it out. So now we need to include our player state. So include public player, survival player state.h. And now we can make it print out the player's name. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this get chat component, or not chat component, the passing of the message to the client. We're going to do if a survival player state p state equals cast. We're going to cast it to a survival player state. And what are we going to cast? Player get player state. All right. Now let's put our function call back and go ahead and construct our message, I guess. All right, so think of what we're going to do. We are going to pretty much do it in the format of player name, colon, space, then the message. So we're going to be modifying a new message to do that. So f string message to send equals p state get player name plus the colon plus message string. Then we need to convert that to safe message. Let me think. Next, we need to do a check and see if message string is too large. Because we're going to be modifying our get safe message as well to also include the length of our player name. So that way your message length is not being dictated by your player name. So it's going to be your player name plus the message length. The player name length plus the message length. That is going to dictate how many characters you can send. Right, so let's check for message to send. And we're going to do safe message. So if it is not too long, we're still just going to do message to send. And pass in safe message. Since we are setting safe message regardless, we can set that to an empty f text just by calling its constructor. And that should be good to go. Let's compile. Make sure that works. All right, and nothing is sending. And I realized we forgot to set our player state. So in our game mode, Blueprint classes, our survival game mode, player state class, select survival player state, compile, save, and test again. So test. Yep, there's our desktop name plus the message we were trying to send. And we should still be limited, but you can see part of it will be cut off. So it cuts to the D, which is right here, because of the length of our desktop name. So that's what we're going to have to fix. We're going to fix that in our get safe message. So I want to go ahead and copy our cast. Actually, I want to copy both these. Okay, so we're going to cast to a survival character. Actually, we don't even need to do that. We can just do if get owner. And we should still be able to cast to all this. So do a actor, player equals get owner. Can we not do that? Never mind then. I guess it has to be a character. Alright, so change a actor to get owner. Then we do everything else like before. So let's see. We know we're going to need, we're just going to store the message in a string. But we're going to get the entire length. So we're going to do p state get player name plus the colon. Then we're going to check the length. So if the length is greater than 108, we're going to have to get the difference. So I want to actually store our pretty much this. in a variable. So f string player name equals that. So it's going to be the player name plus the colon. And here's where we get the difference. So we're going to do int difference equals message. Actually, wait. No, we don't need that. We're just going to do message string minus 108. That's going to be our difference. So we can leave that. Oh, message string dot length minus 108. There we go. All right, so we have our difference. Now we just need to substring message string, pretty much. So the way we do that is going to be message string equals message string dot mid, which I still don't know why they call it mid, but we're going to start from I need to think here. So we're going to actually do something a little bit different. 0 to length minus difference, but we need to set this up a little bit differently. So we're going to do f string message to send. So message to send is going to equal this plus message string. And we're going to compare these differences like this. Okay. So we're storing the base message. We're just converting it from an f text to a f string. But then we're going to do the exact same thing and get the message to send. So that's going to be plus the player name, the colon, the space, and the message they're trying to send. We're going to compare that long message with the name and everything and see if it's greater than 108. If it is, we're going to figure out the difference. So we're going to do the message to send length minus 108. And that should give us, just a small value generally, unless they're trying to cheat it. But then we're going to have message to send. That's going to equal the message string, and we're going to start at index 0. So from the very beginning, and we're going to go all the way to the end of the message and subtract the difference. So we're going to go all the way to the end of the message and then subtract however many characters we went over, so that way it fits and we're hitting that 108 character limit. And that'll allow us to do, from here, we can just do return f text from string message to send. I'm in the wrong function. I don't remember scrolling up. Anyways, I want to copy this. And I'm just going to move it down. Like an idiot. Otherwise, if it all fails, we're just going to simply return message. So let's compile. And see if what we did is correct. Make sure it still prints. All right, I'm at the end, F. All right, so that's going to the very end, just like it should. is sending the entire thing, and I cannot go over it. So there we are. So we now have a limit on how many characters we can send through a message based on our player name, which is good. And then we have a guaranteed kind of check that is being performed on the server to really just prevent that. So in case they decide to still manage to somehow cheat this and to try to grief it, the server is always going to have the authority over the message, and it's going to say, nope, screw you, we're doing it my way. All right, so now that that's done, what we can do is we can clear out our text whenever we actually submit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our text box. Can we do like a clear? No. Set text, and it's just going to be empty. So let's make sure this works. Test, enter, and it's gone. Perfect. Next thing would be the, well, amount of messages. So let's do a new variable, make it an integer, max messages to display. Let's give it a default value of, for now we're just going to do 5 for testing. Make a new function, call it handle message display limit. I know it just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Gonna make another variable, call it current display message count. Default value is going to be 0. So whenever we send a message, all right, so we're going to need to get it. We're going to add, but we're going to increment it, just like so. Then we're going to do the same thing whenever a child is added. So whenever someone, oh wait, I don't need to do that here, duh. So whenever a message is received or that event fires, we're going to increase that. And then we're going to do our check. So if it's greater than the max messages to display, can do a branch. And if it's true, here's where we call our handle message display limit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our scroll box, get, let's see what's under child. All right, so we have our, we're going to do remove child at, and we need to figure out what index. So let's think here. Let's see. What would be, is there a way to do like the length? So we're just going to do get all children, length, and we're going to take that child out. Let's see what the odds are of it working. Test, 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 and fifth test. Not for the sixth, it should be gone. Or not. Let's do a print string. I'm going to change this actually to 3. So this should run it, which it does. Unless we need to subtract 1. Yep, that was why. Right, so actually, what am I doing? We need to remove the first element. It's add element 0. I'm an idiot. So I'm going to do test 1, test 2, test 3, and this should eliminate test 1. Yep, just like so. And test 6. So it's clearing out the messages accordingly. And let's give this an actual test. I'm going to open up 3 clients, even though 2 is sufficient. I don't know why I am. Right, we got this guy, this guy, and this guy. So I'm going to start with you on top. So test 1, test 2, go over here, test 3, and this guy's going to type test 4, test 4. And it got rid of test 1 out of the box. Make sure it's the same on all other clients, which it is. So it cleared them out properly. So now we have a nice little limit on on the max amount of messages we want to display in the chat. So I'm going to leave this to something like 15. So after 15, we just flat out get rid of them. And we also need to actually we can set this as a boolean to make our lives a little bit simple, make it a little cleaner. So what I'm going to do is current display messages count. All right, so where's our event? Here we are. All right, so we increment that. We're going to create a new boolean, or max display messages. And we're going to put this in the function here in a minute. So if it's false, we do nothing. Well, I mean, if it's false, we run this. Yeah, I'm just going to disconnect you. We're going to set it. then we're just gonna we'll actually put you in our handle messages function. Remove the print string. We're gonna call it. And we're gonna call it on true. So now what we're doing is, since this is a default by default or false by default, this false branch will run for the first, second, third, and so messages. So we're gonna change this back to 3 for testing again. So so messages 1, 2, and 3, or 0, 1, and 2, sorry, are going to be shown as this being false because the max messages to display is still, the current messages is still less than the max messages. But once it goes above that amount, then it's going to set max display messages to true, in which case this branch is going to go to true. So once that's done, we can skip all of this. We no longer have to run any of that blueprint. We can go straight to our handle messages or handle message display limit function, which keeps decrementing by 1 each time. So that way it'll be just a little bit faster once the messages have been reached, or the message limit has been reached. Oops. So I'm going to do one more test. I'm just going to do 2 clients, make sure it works. All right. Test 1, test 2, test 3. Go to this guy. Test 4. And it works. All right, so that clears out our chat, nice and neat. So let's set this back up. We're gonna do 15 again for our max amount of messages we want to display. So that should be all fine and dandy. All right, yep, no more Ks. It's just going through and clearing them out. So I think that's a decent amount to have there sitting. So I think we're actually pretty much done with our chat system, because that's really all we were going for, was just a basic Rust style chat. So yeah, let's just do a quick run through of what we've done and go from there. So obviously we set our chat box to run as our HUD. Not gonna, just nothing more to say to that. But now we modified our get safe message function, so to include our player's name. So what it's doing is it's taking into account the length of our player name, which is currently just our desktop name. We haven't set up like any sort of functionality to get our player name, for example. So because of that, we need to, well, we just need a way to compensate. So we're still within that 108 character limit, so people can't go past that 3-line limit. So all we're really doing is we're getting the length of our message to send, which is the length of the message we're trying to send, as well as the player name. If that's greater than the length, then we will go through, we will get the difference, which is the total length minus our character limit, which is 108. And in order to then set up our message to include the length properly so it doesn't go over, we're going to take our message string that's passed in that we want to send. We're going to start at the first index. We're going to go from the message string minus the difference between the total length, which is the minus the difference, which is the total length minus 108. So from there, whenever we do send, we're going to call send message. That's the same, but we call our server function, which does the same kind of test. So we test if the length with the player name and everything is greater than, 108. If it is, we're simply going to substring it to between 0 and 108. So it's a max of 108 characters. That's the only reason we're doing that on the server again is just again to prevent someone from trying to grief by, whether they're using cheat engine or something like that to change these values because they can send in a message that's 1,000+ characters if they wanted to. But once it reaches the server is going to be able to recognize that, and it's only going to display the first 108 characters. Well, it's not only going to send the first 108 characters back to all the other clients. So from there, we just send it back to the client, same as before, no biggie. And that's pretty much it. I do want to do a check. Actually, I want to add one more thing. So if they're trying to send something like a message with nothing in it, then we are simply going to, well, not do anything. So message length is greater than 108, and message string dot length is greater than 0. Wait, why did I do greater than 0? So if message string dot dot message, am I not spelling this right? Message, I'm a complete idiot. If message string dot length is less than or equal to, if somehow less than or equal to 0, we're just going to return and not do anything. And we're going to do the same thing on the server. Just like so. So let's compile. We're going to do a quick test on that. And we are done with this video. All right. So nothing should send. Pressing enter. Nothing. Type 1 and it sends. So we can no longer send empty chats. Although unless we do spacebar, there's an empty space, which I'm not that concerned about. All right. We're pretty much done with our chat. The only other thing I would like to do next would be to add a kind of a delay. So we're going to add a delay between the messages that are being sent. So let's say, we want to have like let's say a 3-second delay between messages. So that way someone can't really kind of spam the chat, so to speak. So we'll do probably that in the next video. So I will see you then.